So, you have 7 days to eat something. So let's just say we have a brisket and a pork butt in here, which I think is a pork butt. And Dave's like, well, what am I going to do with this? So we cooked it today. Today's Wednesday. It's our #1 day. Dave says, well, I'm going to let the guys in the shop eat it this week for lunches. Well, Friday gets here and they're sick of it, okay? So they cut off of it what they wanted. They tried to leave it as whole as possible. And so now it's been Wednesday, is today Wednesday? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Been 4 days. Dave says, well, nobody's going to eat any of that. I'm going to wrap it up in plastic and foil and I'm going to throw it in the freezer. So he does, and he doesn't mark anything on it. Now, 2 months later, which is going to be perfectly good because that, old cuts of brisket and pork butt and ribs will hold for several months and taste really good. Not quite like fresh, but pretty damn close. So he's had it in there 4 days in the refrigerator, throws it in the freezer, doesn't mark it. 3 months comes, he doesn't have any idea how long they had it, and he gets it out, and how many days, he just got it out of the freezer, thawed it out, it took a day to thaw out in the refrigerator, which is the right way to do it. How many days does he have now? Now he's got 5 days on it. He only has 2 days, he doesn't have 7 more days. He doesn't have it marked because he forgot to mark it. So then he's going over his limit. He might go 12 or 15 days. So sorry, I didn't mean to use you as an example, but you just had to be sitting there.
All right, it's mold will arrest bacteria but not kill it. So he's only
Yeah, freezing will not, it'll stop it from growing, but when you thaw it out, it's going to start right back where it came off. Okay? So if you have some meat sitting out there and you forgot about it, don't even think about it. Throw it away. Because, especially pork. If you've ever been sick on pork before, it's the worst thing in the world. My sister used to work for me in the hardwood floor business, and she brought home some Chinese food, pork fried rice, for lunch. And I had to run to the bank, and I had to run home first. Well, my wife didn't work, so I'd take this pork fried rice, and I run home, jump in the shower, and while I'm set the pork fried rice on the counter, I don't have time to eat it, I run to the bank, and I'm in there talking to the banker, and my phone's ringing, just like it did, and I didn't answer it. It was my sister. The pork was set out too long, and she was sicker than hell in the toilet, just thrown up. And I never did talk to her before she could get a hold of me. My wife ate it. Yeah, I was in trouble. I brought her home bad food. So make sure you are safe with your food. If you ever, I've had to throw in a catering business and a restaurant business, I've had to throw 15 or 20 briskets and pork butts cooked away because my Alto sham went out overnight and I didn't know what temperature it stayed at. Okay? That's what I really like about coolers. I know I'm good for 3 or 4 hours because there's no motor to go out. Okay? It's a pretty good way. You guys tailgate it all. Cook that meat at home. Don't fight with the grill and everything at tailgate. Cook that meat at home, throw it in the cooler, and just take it to the game. It's a great way. Anytime you want to go anywhere. So we went over cooling down procedures. Let's talk about rehydrating procedures. Let's just say you pulled the whole pork butt. It didn't really dry out because it's got a lot of fat, but you want to reheat it that week and you want to eat it. So it's already pulled. Pour in one of those, just say you're going to have a half pan. Pour a 1/4 inch of water in there, cover it with plastic, food service film, and then foil, put it in your oven at 200 degrees, give it an hour and a half to heat up. That water will rehydrate, mix it up good, and it'll be nice and moist again. Same way with brisket. If you still have it whole, you don't have to worry about it as much. But if you slice the brisket, but you didn't let it sit out in the air, so it's not too dry, but it's kind of dry, put some beef broth in there, okay? Chicken, you can put chicken broth in there. That's just a good way to reheat stuff. The beef broth with the beef, the chicken broth with the chicken, and the water with the pork, because they don't make pork broth. Do they? I don't think that's okay. What haven't I covered, Bob?
There's a coleslaw recipe.
Well, we talked about thermometers. I don't know the coleslaw recipe.
It's really good.
Is it? We talked about thermometers. We talked about food safety. Let's talk a little bit about how you can plan your events. Let's just say, does anybody in here ever feed 20 or more people? Okay.
3,000.
3,000. Okay, well, I'm not going to talk about your situation, because that's a little bit much. If you're feeding 20 more people, I've already taught you not to try to get your big, dense cut meats done at the exact same time that you're gonna do it, okay? Don't try it. Use the cooler method, put it in your oven, but get it done early. It's way too much stress to try to get it done on time. I mean, in the catering business, I used to try to do that because I thought it was better when it was real fresh. And I learned that you can't do it, and you will fail more than you will succeed, okay? And if you fail, it's a very miserable event, and somebody's gonna be mad at you.
Usually ends up with a woman screaming at you.
Yeah, or a lot of them.
You know what it does.
So, get your food done early, get it in the cooler, get it in your oven. As long as it's kept whole, it's not gonna dry out, okay? And as long as you keep it above 140 degrees. If you ever wonder if I'm telling you the truth or just bullshitting you, put some food in the cooler for a couple hours and check it with the thermometer, okay? It'll tell you. You guys saw that food
You can
came out.
boil corn in there by just throwing boiling water.
Yeah, cooler corn. Anybody ever hear of that? Just take boiling water and put it in the cooler, drop the corn down in there and shut the lid. What's it take, 10 minutes?
About, yeah, just don't use cold corn, just make sure it's room temp corn.
Yeah. Now, one thing, when you're talking about room temperature stuff, and then I'll get back onto the catering, remember, it's not like a steak where you want to set it out before you grill it and get it to room temperature. You want to, when you're barbecuing, which is barbecuing, not grilling, when you want to try to get smoke in it for flavor, you want to put it right out of the refrigerator. You don't want to let it set out.
So it gives it time to build up the temp and bigger window for you to get smoke.
Bigger window to get smoke in it. Now, you always want to make sure you have your pit maxed out hot, especially if you got a lot of meat going on. Even a Weber kettle. You know, if you got a couple of pork butts, I know you can get that on the kettle, a couple of pork butts. What that's going to do, it's going to pull the temperature of that pit down really fast because of the cold meat. So make sure it's really, really hot when you start it. That's one thing. Talk a little bit about, you know, we talked about, well, let's talk about if you're catering 30 or 40 people. Just remember the brisket and the pork butt idea that I told you. I started at 3, cooked it to 9, threw it in the oven at 200 and let it finish overnight. Now I'm either going to throw it in the cooler or slow it down to at least 170, and that'll stay all day long, okay? So that's a good way to do that. Ribs you can do that with, but not quite as long. Ribs just kind of start getting mushy, same as chicken. So your bigger cuts of meat are a better choice for bigger groups because everybody likes barbecue. Ribs are going to be more expensive. If you want to do a few ribs and get them done right about the time you're eating, that's fine. But if you got people that want ribs, it's just going to be a challenge for you. I did 600 people for ribs one time. And it took about, to get it fresh and serve it to them, it took about 20 guys to get it out of the alto and get them chopped up. Question?
Do you have like a 3 to 9 and like an overnight thing? Is that on the PowerPoint?
No.
Okay, so I should probably write that down.
You got it right there.
That was for the,
Pork butt and brisket.
For the oven.
Yeah.
What were the hours, what was the time on that?
You're going to cook it 6 hours or to 165 degrees. Okay? Gas grill people, you're not going to get it there. Probably you're going to get it to 145 or until you get tired of cooking. As long as you get some smoke in it and see that bark on it, you're good. Wrap it, get it done. Now, if you're only getting it at 145, you may want to set it in the oven, you know, maybe 225 when you put it in the oven at 9 o'clock, okay? And then first thing in the morning, get up and check it. If it's pushing and it's not squishy like you guys felt, ramp that smoke or that oven up to 300, 325. You won't dry it out, you won't hurt it, but you can push that. Now, if you want to cook a pork butt or a brisket 60% of the way, let's just say you're cooking pork butts and briskets and you don't get done, you're tired of messing with it, you got to go somewhere, and it's only to 165 degrees. Set it out, let it cool, get it cooled down like I told you, wrap it up in plastic and foil, put it in the refrigerator. The next day you decide to cook it, it's only going to take you about 3 or 4 hours to get it cooked. You got to get it to what temperature? Everybody knows? 200. 200. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it open for questions. Anybody have any? I'm sure there's stuff I haven't covered.
Talking about
doing the different functions and catering. and
Okay, you should be getting $10 a head for two meats, two sides.
Yeah.
People will use you up, friends will use you up. When they find out you do good barbecue, they're always gonna try to get it cheaper. $10 a head or $10 a pound, if you're just doing meat. Remember, you're gonna have to buy double the meat to get the poundage.
You gotta buy good charcoal.
You gotta buy good
You gotta buy
charcoal,
spices.
okay? I always figure a third of a pound a person when I'm catering an event. You said a third of a pound might not do it up here. If you're figuring a half a pound a person, you better charge that many percent more. You probably need to be charging $12 a pound. What I do when I cater is I cater by the person, okay? I'm not charging for this much meat. I'm catering by the person. So when I take my coolers and my warmers there to the wedding, and I'm cutting it one pork butt at a time or one brisket at a time, I'm leaving everything in the coolers. When I'm done feeding that group and they're all full and happy, what's left over in that cooler belongs to me. It doesn't belong to them. I cooked extra just because it's a terrible thing to run out.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. You know, on your baked beans, probably a huge deal for barbecue. Baked beans are great. You're gonna figure 30 people per gallon, okay? Now 60, you'd think with 90 people they'd eat 3 gallons. Doesn't work that way. I don't know why, but probably for 30 people a gallon, for 60 people 2 gallons, for 90 people 2 gallons, for 150 people 3 gallons. They just don't eat as much. Cheesy potatoes is a good thing to do with catering. You know, one of those little half pans will probably feed, that'll probably feed 20 people, okay? Any other questions on catering or timing?
So you like to cut, Terry and I did a big wedding there, a year ago or
We've done a couple of them.
yeah, when I did, we did the pork loin, but I sliced them in half, and saved my cook time. And they really turned out nice. But I had them, I sliced and sliced just before we were eating. Rather than, now, you like to slice, you like to have them walk through and
I
slice?
like to get one tray out there, and I like to have somebody on the line, and I like to have 3 people in the kitchen, or at least 2, depending
Yeah.
how big the wedding is.
Yeah,
And once I get that tray out there, it's not gonna be there 10 minutes before they start eating. And I'll use a chafing unit, but I'll only use 1 burner, don't use 2, it'll fry.
Fry it, yeah.
I really like the idea of doing big things, like chicken is real easy to do
Yeah.
for a catered gig.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a piece of cake. That's
Yeah.
by far the easiest.
Bad thing about chicken is, if you're smoking chicken, you have a lot of, especially women, because women are more conscientious
Yeah.
about, you know.
We did chicken, but we didn't smoke it. I did that baked the night before.
Okay, yeah.
And then topped it off on the grill.
If
And
you
then
have a
just
smoke,
barbecue
if you have a
sauce.
smoke ring in chicken, women won't eat it.
No,
They
it's a
don't-
little,
You know, guys, they don't care. Hell, they'll eat anything. You know, women are a little bit smarter than us, and they're like, that doesn't look
A
good
little.
to me. So, any other catering questions?
I put my card on your table. That's to the Grillin' Guys radio show. That website has all kinds of recipes and charts and different things if you
It's a great website. Go
if
to
you
it.
want. Yeah, it's a resource. And it's a blog, so you can enter in any time in there. And it's connected to a Facebook and Twitter account. The Twitter account is Grillin' Guy at Twitter, and Facebook / The Grillin' Guys. And we're always putting information out there where we're at and fun things going on. There's a lot of involvement. It's cool when people from classes maybe write in or check us out on Facebook and comment about the class or anything like that. So
Good,
please
bad,
join
or
in on
indifferent,
that.
right?
Pardon me.
Good, bad, or indifferent?
Good, bad, or indifferent. We love to heckle, but we fire back. So, but there's a lot of good recipes. A lot of them are from Rob, honestly.
And they're not ones that I travel over the United States. And you know what, really, if you think about it, if you cook it all, every one of you have at least one specialty
Killer.
that is killer. And you'd share it with somebody, but you don't go around bragging about it.
You'll say it over national radio, but you won't tell your buddies.
Yeah.
You know that kind of deal. Call me.
Yeah, so I get a lot of my recipes from people like you. And it's, everybody's got, yes.
What kind of rig do you use when you cater a large party? I mean, you don't just take a bunch of these out here, do you?
Bunch of, oh, no, I got a big spot. smokers that are cooked 250-pound pigs at a time. But it's the same Goodwin smoker, same principle, you know.
One's got a Caterpillar diesel on.
No. You know, and when you're cooking for,
Sounded good.
if you're cooking for 40 people, or you're cooking, I mean, with 40 people, if you screwed it up, at least you can go down to the barbecue place and buy it, and it wouldn't cost you, it'd cost you a couple $100 probably, or more. But if you're cooking for 100 to 200, 250 people, you cannot have a barbecue pit that you can't depend on. You have to be able to sleep, and you have to be able to get that thing fired up. And I always tell about how good a good one works, and whether it's snowing, raining, and every time I have a 300-person wedding, I start the food the night before, and I don't have an oven big enough, of course, so I'm cooking it all the way on a good one. When I go to bed, I'm like, oh God, I hope this does what I said it's going to do. And I've done that for like 6 years now. I hope it does what it says it's going to do. Every time it's spot on money. So Goodwin smokers, the little ones, the big ones, they have no moving parts. You can't screw a piece of meat up on them. It's virtually impossible. Most of the time, I mean, I'm a terrible cook, but most of the time it makes me look really good. And it's just, I mean, if you're ever in the market for Goodwin's or for another smoker, you want to add some, I notice a lot of you guys have 3 or more. Don't be afraid to add that 4th one. Come down and see Dave and buy it. And he'll give you a good deal, right, Dave?
You bet.
Any other questions? Food, safety, anything?
I love the
Everybody's full?
idea of doing it at home and taking it.
That's a great idea. I
Man,
mean, I was always blessed with a lot of auto sheds, I mean, a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Our facility over here was huge back when
as long as it's mine, it's good.
Yeah. There's easy ways to do it and hard ways to do it. And you just gotta make sure you have good food every time, because it only takes one catering job that's bad and it gets around fast. Especially
Pork butt.
on this side.
Pork butt is Jeff Gear.